All right, welcome everybody to week 9, day 2. I think it's time for us to get some animations up in here. So we've got our sock goblin blueprint. It's just a couple of shiny boxes. Although it is kind of growing on me. Maybe we can try putting in something a little more professional looking. By the way, what I did in IS50B was pretty amusing. I don't know if you can hear that, but I made a really ugly cat model in Unreal Engine. And then I made a laser guided system where if you target one of the sock goblins, the cats come flying in and will laser guided on the target. It's kind of fun. Yeah. So I was thinking I could do something like that for the AI too. Like have an AI that shoots projectiles kind of up in the sky, and then if it designates you with a laser, then the things come flying into you. I don't know. It seems like that could be kind of a cool, dramatic enemy to fight. Maybe later. For now, I do want to get models in here. So let's go to our sock goblin blueprint. Go to the viewport. You can see we got here a very roughed out, model. Here. So we got this mesh here. So what we're going to want to do is kind of get rid of the body. Maybe I should duplicate this. Yeah, let's just back it up real fast, just in case. These deleting things can sometimes go terribly awry. So we'll just call you Sock Goblin 1. Okay. Come back in here. So the eye point, I'm going to detach from the body. And then I'm going to delete the body and delete the cube. And you'll see that right here, I've got this mesh that is something called a skeletal mesh. Hovering over the wrong thing. It is a skeletal mesh. Now, a skeletal mesh is different from a normal mesh. A normal mesh is something like a cube, a sphere, a cone, the basic primitive shapes you learn in like second grade geometry. A skeletal mesh is a mesh that has bones. It's got joints, it's got angles. You've got multiple bones in your spine, and your neck, and your head, and your shoulders, and things like that. And a skeletal mesh has two parts to it. It's got a skeleton, and it's got a mesh. That's why it's called a skeleton mesh. The skeleton defines how the joints and the bones are all connected together. So a skeleton will say, this finger is attached to the hand, and the hand is attached to the wrist, and the wrist is attached to the elbow, and the elbow is attached to the shoulder, and the shoulder is attached to the top of the spine, the top of the spine is attached to the lower part of the spine. To simplify. So, we could put a skeletal mesh in here if we wanted. We can make it a mannequin if we wanted. But I'd like to actually try and find a goblin skeletal mesh. So, let's go to a website called Mixamo. It's always a cool missile pathing system. Yeah, it's actually not just a straight line. Like it actually updates 5 times a second, and so as the goblins move around, the cats will actually curve and lock in and track on them, which is pretty fun. Okay, so Mixamo is a site provided by Adobe. Sorry, it's Adobe, but it's free, so yay. So sign in without a password now. And then we've got here a bunch of different models and different animations. So let's start with the different models. I want to find one that's suitable for our sock goblin enemy. Maybe this one. Maybe this one. What do you think? Yeah, maybe that one. I think. Any opinions on which model we should use? Anyone? No opinions? El Chupacabra. That was what I wanted the motto of our, or the mascot of our school to be, the Chupacabras. Nothing? Nobody on Discord? Alright, I'll just pick one then. That one could work too. Yeah, it's probably the closest one. Okay. So what we're going to do is once you've found the model that you like, and they've only got a couple dozen models, it's not that big a site. Once you find the one you like, and click and drag and take a look at it, then you can download it. You've done all this already, but you don't know how to use it? Okay. So let's download it. We're going to download it in FBX, T-Pose. Okay. And then we're going to need to do animations for it. Okay. So, by the way, if you download it, Microsoft Paint can open it up now, which is kind of really funny, actually. It's Paint 3D. So, don't save. Okay. So if you click on one of the animations, it'll show you what the character looks like doing that animation. Kind of cool. In general, though, it's best to download one of the packs they have because that is a collection of different animations, and that's usually what you want. Like if you've got a character that's using a sword and shield, you download the sword and shield pack, and it has all the different animations for a sword and shield using character, right? The capoeira pack has a bunch of different animations for somebody doing capoeira fighting. Right? For the goblins, let's see. What would be a good one for a goblin? I don't really know what it's supposed to be doing. like from a design standpoint. Like I don't know what we want the goblin to be doing. That's kind of the problem I'm having here. Zombies. It's kind of funny though, isn't it? Maybe we'll do just the creature pack. Okay, so click on that, then you click on download, and click on no character, you don't need it. 30 frames a second, yeah, just hit download. You've already downloaded the character, so you don't need to do that one with the character. And then it's going to download any second now. There we go. Got the creature pack downloaded. Now I'm going to open up my desktop. I downloaded it. Trolling students. And these things I'm going to import into Unreal Engine. So I'm just going to unzip this one. There we go. And so you can see inside of here we've got a bunch of different FBX files. And it looks like we've got a punch, a jump, right turn, walking, jumping. Do we have running? No? Idle. We've just got idle and walking. It's probably not good enough for my purposes. Locomotion pack. Maybe we'll do this one. Let's download this one. Download, no character. Boom, 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 boom. Do you need to download a goblin or just something for the AI? Anything you want. It doesn't really matter to me. So locomotion pack, and then come back up here. And you, I will extract as well. And then we got walking and running. Okay. And then idle and jump. Okay. So that should be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out a Mixamo, which might be a mistake because I might need to go back in if this doesn't work. But I'm going to go into here, and I've got a Mixamo directory already set up. I'm actually just going to create a new directory, and I'm going to call this one sock goblin animation. And then I'm just going to put all these things into there. So snap that over, and I'm going to first of all name you gobbo.fbx, just for the hell of it. I'm going to drag you in there, and then that's going to pull up the animation, well, it's the FBX import screen. Okay, so it'll be like, yo, this is a skeletal mesh, yes. Basically all this stuff you can leave as default. Sometimes you need to mess with the import rotation because they don't always have the things facing the right way. Yeah, all that should be fine. So we'll just hit import. And if it's not fine, we'll fix it in post-production. So we got over here the goblin coming in. How are you using multiple animations on the character before download? So they have smoothing groups, that's fine. You can ignore that. You can download individual animations, which is fine. The packs, though, tend to be... I tend to prefer them a little bit because if I'm going to have a right strafe, I want to have a left strafe. You know what I mean? So the animation packs... Also, there's multiple different things called like left strafe. One for people holding a rifle, one for people holding a sword. And so when you download the animation packs, it makes sure that everything's symmetrical. So you don't have, like, when you run to the right, you're holding a sword. When you run to the left, you're holding a gun. Because the hand joints are going to be in a different place for those. So we've got here, now that we've imported the goblin, it imported the materials for it. So it has all these texture samples that we don't care about. Diffuse, glossy, normal, spec map. Then right here is where things get interesting. So we've got our skeleton here. And our skeleton is, like what I said, it's a list of all the different joints you have and how they're connected. So if you click on the left hand is connected to the left forearm. And if we did something like rotating the left forearm, like that, you'll see that the hand comes with it. The hand is a child of the forearm. Okay? So this joint layout is what's in a skeleton. It says nothing about how to draw it to the screen. It just says what pieces of the body is connected to what. The leg bone's connected to the knee bone or whatever, you know? And you can add sockets to the skeleton if you want. Now, let's go ahead and save all. What we're going to do is under the sock goblin, we're just going to choose as our skeletal mesh, we're going to choose Gobbo. And then we're just going to drag it down till it matches everything. And yeah, like I said, the thing wasn't facing forward properly. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. That's pretty common. Because different, you can see that the arrow, that's one of the reasons why the arrow is useful, is so you can see which way is forward. Blender and Unreal Engine and Unity don't agree which way is forward. So some use Y, some use X. And so if you import it and it's wrong, just fix it. Just rotate it 90 degrees, not a big deal. And now when we play the game, these guys are a little bit off the ground, huh? Okay, so I'm going to see, this is why I have two different windows open. So as I modify the blueprint, it modifies it in the world as well. And so I can just sit there and rather than keep guessing, I can actually just make his feet directly touch the ground. Like that. A little bit inside of the ground, but that's okay. So here we have the trace line's not hitting him. If it doesn't have collision turned on. Collision generates hit events. There we go. Collision presets. Character mesh. Let's try that. Yeah, the trace line's not hitting them now. Actually, it doesn't matter for what we're doing right now. I'll fix that later. Okay. So that's that. Now, you might notice that there's one problem with our goblins, right? What's the obvious problem? Like they're rotating to face us. That's all kind of working. They're taking damage still. Collision on them works. They're hunting around. Trace line's not working, but that's okay. What's the obvious problem that we got here? No animations. Yeah, exactly. So they're just T-posing at us. Set to simulate physics, but collision enabled is incompatible. Oh, that's fair. Okay. So we need to give it an animation. So to give it an animation, we need to bring in animations. We need to import them. Okay. Right here, we can set an animation on these things. Now, by default, let's see what we got here. It comes with a little test animation, which is funny. So what you can do when you have a skeletal mesh selected, you can actually just choose to use an animation asset, and then it's just going to play that animation over and over again, which is a little bit it's a little bit disturbing. But let's bring in some real animations. It's kind of funny. Okay. So coming back to the desktop here, okay, we've already imported you. Locomotion pack here. And I am just going to drag all of these FBX files into the Sock Goblin animation directory, and you'll see that this pops up. And here's the cool thing. Or a cool thing. The Unreal Engine detects that the animations you're importing match the skeleton for the goblin. The skeleton for the goblin doesn't match the skeleton for the mannequins that you have by default. However, it does match the paladin that I use for my main character, because that's actually it comes from Mixamo also. So I'm just going to attach it to the Gobbo skeleton, because we don't need to make any more complicated than that. So basically, yeah, you just pull those animations over, hit import, and import all will do all of them. And then that'll import all of these animations in. And then, when we go to the Sock Goblin thing here, we can set new animations to play on it. So we can do idle, see how it's animating. Running, maybe. Now this is... Now there's a problem. Now they're all running, but look how they're flickering. You see how they're teleporting like that? Is that coming through on the stream? You guys see that? They're animating, sure, but what's actually happening is that they're animating away from the center of their origin, right? The origin of the mesh is right here, and the animation actually has them moving away from their own starting point. So as the point moves, because the character movement, the AI is sliding them towards us using the AI nav system. They're moving towards us, and then they're moving off the starting point, and then they're snapping back onto it every time the animation loops. So sure, you can turn off animation looping, but now it's just going to be stuck here, and that's going to look really weird, right? So they're all going to run once and then ice skate afterwards. So that's not a solution, right? So what we want is for them to not move off their origin point. And you can do that in Mixamo. Dang it. Shouldn't have closed the website. In Mixamo, you can actually change that, but you can actually fix it on Unreal Engine also. And you can't change it for an animation pack. You have to change it for each animation on Mixamo. And that makes it kind of a deal breaker for me. I would rather download a complete pack so that I know all the animations sync up with each other, and then fix them there rather than trying to find which left strafe is the left strafe that I want, because there's a lot of left strafes animations. So how do we do that? So here we have the animation. So if you click on the magnifying glass, it jumps to the right asset. Double click on it. And then over here, there's something called enable root motion, and that fixes it. Okay, simple as that. The only trouble is you're going to have to do this for all the animations. Every single animation that you have, you're going to have to enable root motion on. So I guess I'll just go through. I guess idle doesn't matter particularly, but jump. Actually, for jump, maybe we'll try leaving that alone. Left strafe, enable. Let's see. For this one, because we're moving left. Let's see, anim first frame. Yeah. Okay, so if you want them to move sideways, then you switch it to anim first frame, and it's funny. And then it'll appear in the right direction. Left strafe walking. Again, turn on root motion, anim first frame, and it moves the right way. Left turn. Let's leave that alone. Right strafe. Do you see how it's moving away from the root? So turn that on, and then turn on anim first frame. It'll go the right way. Right strafe walking. Turn that on. Turn that on. Right turn should be fine. Maybe we'll see how it works. And then the last one to do is walking. So walking needs to be fixed as well. Okay, so that is that. And now, save view. What happened? I think I just clicked on something. You guys still here? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Save all. And Sock Goblin is set to running. So let's see how this works now. There we go. So that looks a lot better, right? It's a little weird, they're all animating the same way, yeah. Okay, so that's already like a night and day difference. Okay. You guys agree? Like this, there's the damn cat. I was wondering. Okay, delete you. Okay. Just having movement. Now we have animation. Now what we need to do is make it so that if they're idle, if they're just standing still, they should be just kind of like hanging out. As it is, they're always moving, and they're always rotating directly to face us. So this is actually probably good enough to stop with where we are now. Because the AI doesn't really do anything fancier than this. You know what I mean? Like, it just always moves towards you, or it picks a target and moves towards it. So, how do we make the main character our new character? I just renamed the third person character to be main character. Probably shouldn't have done that, but yeah, whatever. So over here, if we go to the mesh for the person, you can see that rather than using an animation asset, I'm using a blueprint. And so let me back off on that and show you, because I think the goblins are, honestly, I think they're fine. Like, I mean, I'll try the walking animation on them and just see if that looks a little bit better. Let's try that. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think the running or the walking animation looks better in these guys? Probably should go idle there. What do you think? The running or the... This is walking, running. I think that the head bob on the running is a little annoying because it kind of goes bloop because his head is kind of distorted, you know. So I think I'll just leave it at walking for now. It's a little less annoying. Okay. So let me close out. I think kind of we're done with that. See if there's anything else I need to worry about here. Try that real fast. Huh. It's interesting. Something went wrong there. Oh, like I said, I'll fix that later. Okay, anyhow, that's fine. So, I'm going to close out a sock goblin for now. And let me show you how to do an animation on the main character. So, I've imported this knight. It's the paladin skeletal mesh. And I simply set the skeletal mesh to be the paladin here. Same way that we set the skeleton mesh to the goblin. Now I'm going to show you guys how to animate the main character. And right now I have a really basic motion. Look, it looks bad if I'm strafing, right? Like, this is super basic right now. So let's walk through errors. Show message log. That's not much of an error. Nothing? Okay. Okay, so let's take from the top. So let's start with something called a blend space. And, or I guess at the most basic level, we can just use an animation asset. And so we just have the player, I don't know, always doing one animation over and over again. If I do this, you'll see it just repeats. See how his feet slide? It looks really bad. He's just always doing the ninja idle animation. It's kind of terrible looking, you know. Oh, I know why. It's because it is trying to get the... It's trying to get the cube off of it. That's exactly right. Okay. Let's see. No, wait. Main character, keyboard location, cube. Yeah. So event hit. Yeah, somewhere in here it's referring to the old type of sock goblin, which is bad design. Anyway, so here we have our thing. And so the most basic way of doing an animation is that you just use an animation asset. It'll just keep playing this on a loop over and over again. And like for the sock goblins, like, it's like fine, I guess. The next step up is to blend different animations together. So, for example, our walking animation might be this one, which is the scary clown walk. Let's see. We're going to use that scary clown walk, which I need to fix the root node animation on. Sword and shield walk. There we go. Okay. So what I would kind of like to do is have it so that when I'm idle, he's just standing there. When he's walking, he's doing this animation. And when he's running, he's doing the run animation. So let me show you how to do that. We're going to make something called a blend space. So we're going to make a blend space 1D. That means there's just one axis that we're worrying about right now. Actually, let's do it. Let's do a real blend space, just because we're going to modify it. And so we're going to attach this to the paladin's skeleton. I clicked on that kind of fast, but I picked the skeleton for the model that I'm using. Technically, I I could have had the goblin skeleton and the paladin skeleton be the same, but I didn't because I don't want the monster's animations showing up when I select the player, but I could have if I wanted to. So I'm going to call this player anim BS, player anim blendspace. And what you got here is two axes, and the horizontal axis will be called direction, because I'm going to implement strafing and stuff like that. And it's going to go from negative 180 degrees. So if I'm moving leftwards, if I'm strafing left, that's going to be negative 180. And then if I'm strafing right, that's positive 180. So this axis is going to go from 180 to 180. And I'll do 8 grid divisions. Well, that's fine. The vertical axis will be called speed. And that'll run from 0 to 600. 600, I think, is what our max speed is. And that should be fine. Preview base pose will be idle. No? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's all fine. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out on this blend space the different animations. What a blend space is, it blends between different animations. So we can have a walking animation and a running animation. And let me filter this because I got a lot of animations up in here. So let me search for walk. And so I've got sword and shield walk. Looks like that. Sword and shield walk 1, which is backwards. Sword and shield walk 2, which is also backwards. I don't care about those. I just care about the forward walk. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my blend space here. Okay, and I'm going to drag out the walk node. So the walk node will be when I'm moving at a speed of about 150. So when I'm at a speed of 0, I want to be using an idle animation, right? So click. Yeah, looks pretty good. All right. So the idle animation, you see what I'm doing here? I'm dragging it down on the graph, on the blend space. And so what I'm saying is how the engine should average together the different animations. So when I'm not moving, it's going to play the idle animation. When I'm moving at a low speed, it's going to play the walk animation. And when I move at a high speed, it's going to play the run animation. So let me just check on these. Running forwards, running backwards. Okay, so we got running forwards. Okay. And then we drag that out at 600. Now this green thing here will show you a preview. So as, you know, do you see the little highlighted thing? As my speed goes up, it's going to show you how the thing will animate. So if I'm moving at a speed of 150, it's going to look like that. If I move at a speed of 300, it moves like that. 400 like that. 500, 600. So you can see how the animation just very smoothly will transition as you move faster and faster. So if we save this, player anim BS, and we click on the skeletal mesh here, and we set the animation asset here to be BS, it won't work. It will work. I mean, we've assigned the blend space. We've assigned the blend space to the character, but watch what happens. It's always the idle animation. And the reason for this is because we have not linked the speed of the player to the actual animation blend space. So there's another step you have to do. There's some glue that attaches these two things together. So we got speed. Right now, speed, this is just a word. It doesn't know that that's supposed to be our velocity. It'd be really nice if we could do that, if there was like a bind key like there was for UMG, like if we could just bind it to their speed or something. That would be cool. But there isn't, so. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll have walk. Maybe I'll set this all the way up to like 1200 or something. And then maybe I'll have walk be at 600. It's like when we're walking without hitting sprint, it'll do the walk animation. Then we hit sprint, it'll turn into the run animation. That could be cool. Let me try that out. But still, these are just words. Speed and direction are just words. Okay. So, what do we do? How do we bind speed and direction to actual variables? Well, let's see here. Oh, this is for the animation blueprint. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an animation blueprint, and we are going to link those together. Let's see here. Run. Okay. Main character and blueprint. Okay. So, give me 1 second. Okay. So let's go ahead and make a. So we got our blend space here. Now what we need to do is connect the speed of the player to that speed variable in the blend space. Okay. So we're gonna go to animation, make a animation blueprint, and we're gonna make it out of the main character anim blueprint. Let's see, third person anim blueprint. Target asset. I'm using the paladin here, and I don't think I need to parent it to any of that stuff. Okay, and so this one is going to be called I don't know, main character anim BP. Okay, dang it, I already have one. Name that. That's going to be very confusing. Main character anim BP. New main character and MVP, because I've already done this once already. So we're going to come in here, and we've got this thing called an output pose. And so an animation blueprint is basically something that tells the animation system which pose to output for the player at every frame along the way. And then it's got an event graph that allows us to do things like get the velocity of the player and set those as the variables into the blend space. So let's look for the BS that we came up with earlier, player anim BS. Drag that in. And this blend space is going to come out with an output pose based on our speed and our direction. Currently we're not using direction, but I put that in there because, you know, we will eventually. Now speed, this thing is how, this is the glue. So the animation blueprint is the glue that connects the player and their velocity and all that stuff with the animation system. And so what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this here. We're going to promote it to a variable, also called speed. That's fine. And then down here we got a variable called speed. And then over here in the event graph, we are going to set speed. So every time the animation updates, we are going to get the speed of the owner, which is us. Right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to get the animation owner. We're going to get the velocity like that. And that's going to return a vector. We're going to get the, do you guys remember how to get the size of a vector? Anyone remember how to get the magnitude of a vector? We're down to 5 students in this class. How do you get the size of a vector? You messed up, sorry. You screwed up and wiped out your main character. Wiped all your content. Oof, it's rough. So it's called the vector length. Vector length is how you get the size of a vector, like that. So what's happening here is we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So we've You got the skeleton that controls where all the different bones are and things like that. You got the mesh, which shows you how to draw them. You've got animations, which tell you how to move the joints and the bones. And you've got the blueprint that's doing things like every frame computing the speed of the player, which is this. If you get the velocity of the player and take the length of the velocity, that is called speed. So the size of your velocity vector is your speed. And so we're going to do all this, and we're going to drag out speed here, set. So every frame, it is going to set this speed variable to the player's velocity's magnitude. This is the glue. So the animation here is right now set to a blend space, but we're going to change that to this blueprint over here. Main character, the mesh, rather than using the blend space, we're going to use the anim BP, what do we call it? Main character, not an animation asset, sorry, we want an animation blueprint. Main character anim BP, new, what did I call it? New. There. Okay. And we hit save, play, and you can see that as when I go, wait, well, these guys are not dying. Okay. Okay. So as I move, I'm now walking, and when I sprint, I'm now sprinting, and then when I come to a stop, I'm idle. You see that? I think it broke something with, these guys aren't, sock goblins are just not taking it anymore. Okay. Alright, but that's not the point for today. The point of today is that whole animation blueprint thing. So, step one, go on to Mixamo.com and download some meshes, download some animations, import them into Unreal Engine. Step two, make a blend space. You can do a 1D blend space with what I have right here, but we're going to add strafing in, and so a 2D, a regular blend space. It's probably the better one to create. And right now we're essentially using it like a 1D blend space anyway, so it's kind of like no harm, no foul. The blend spaces are used to merge together different animations. So you can see I've got an idle animation, a walking animation, and a sprinting animation. The blend space, what you do is you drag animations. You got a list of all your animations over here. You drag them onto the blend space. These are the little white diamonds you see here. The white diamonds are the different spots on the blend space. And you can drag this green diamond around to kind of see how it will animate at speed of 350, 650, 1070, right? And so you can kind of tweak your blend spaces this way. Over here on the left-hand side, you have to open up. These things are minimized by default, by the way. So you have to kind of open them up. And this changes what the minimum and the maximum values are. So the minimum value is the speed of 0, maximum value is the speed of 1200. Anything past that will have no effect. Grid divisions is how many spots along the way you can put different animations if you want. And I've had fun with that before. So like I had a zombie that crawled, and then when it went a little faster, it'd be kind of like doing this crouched run. A little faster, it's then running, and so you can have different steps along the way. As it moves, it'll kind of animate up into different things like that. And they don't abruptly skip either. Yeah, except when they do, and then you have to fix it. So one of the problems with the direction is that negative, like when you flip between forwards and backwards, you go between like 0 degrees and like 359 and 0 are right next to each other. And when you cross over that, it'll sometimes like you'll hit the boundary between go left and go right, and your character will start spazzing. And then you have to, like, you can mess with the interpolation. You can add, you can mess with the, there's a couple different ways you can fix that. But basically, just try it and it works, and if it doesn't work, then fix it. Okay. So let's add in a direction now. So we can, do we have a strafe? Do we have a strafe run? We do. All right, so we've got that one. We need to fix the root motion on it. Okay, so we got that, that, and that. Okay. We only have right strafe. Okay. Okay. Okay, so for all of these, I'm going to enable root motion back on and anim first frame. So that's like a walking right strafe. For this one, it's like a walking left strafe kind of. Save. This one's like a running. Okay. And save. And this one is like a running the other way. Okay. So we do have strafe animations. If not, I'd have to go back onto Mixamo and download more animations to do this. But the Sword and Shield pack came with them, and that's why I like downloading the whole packs, is that it usually has a pretty complete set of animations that you can use like this. So I'm going to come into the blend space again. I'm going to back up out of it. Okay, it didn't back up far enough, I guess. So let's just open that back up. Animation BS. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add the strafe assets to the blend space. And so I've got a walking strafe, I got a walking strafe, a running strafe, and a running strafe. So what I'm going to do is say when we're running to the left. Okay, so walking left. So that's not moving at all. So we need walking. Okay. And then there's running, which is this one. I think that's the right one. So you see what I'm doing here? So this is the direction and this is the speed. So I've got one now for walking to the left and one for running to the left. And then I'm going to drag out the other ones for walking to the right and running to the right. I might have done that backwards. So let's see how this works. So if we're running to the right, it'll do that. Good. So if we're walking to the right, running to the right, and then switching to running forward, and then they're interesting. He never turns actually to, he always keeps his shield forward. That's actually really cool. You see that? So when he strafes right, or from our perspective, strafe right, he keeps his shield forward, and then when he strafes left, he walks the other way. You see that? It's kind of cool. The strafing animation for a gun is he twists his body, right? So he's looking forward, but he twists his body, and then he twists his body the other way when he's strafing the other way. I like this. This is actually really cool. So you can drag this around, and again, the vertical axis here is how fast you're running, and then the horizontal axis is are you running left or are you running right? And so with a 2D blend space, you can kind of see all the different combinations of direction and magnitude of your movement vector. And the only thing that remains to be done is to, again, link them up. Because right now, the direction, it is just a word. So if I strafe, you see how it doesn't play that animation? Okay, you see how it's not strafing at all? It's just doing the forward one. That's because we have not... right now, direction is just a word. That's just a word. It doesn't know. It doesn't know that's supposed to mean direction. So we have to come into our blueprint here and go into the anim graph. And you can see that we've got our BS here. And we need to turn direction into a variable too. So that turns into a variable. Now we need to write a little bit of code to compute the direction we're moving. And this is... I keep getting FBX for characters and animations. When I import them, they never work. I don't know. I'd have to take a look at it. FBX, yeah, it can break. Are you getting it off Mixamo or are you getting it off someplace else? Because I've never had a trouble with Mixamo animations. Just make sure when you download the animations, you don't download the character with it. It's wasteful. You don't need to. Just download the character first, import the character, and that will set up the skeleton, your project. And then when you import the animations, you have to link the animations to the skeleton that you just imported, and then it's going to attach them together. Okay. It says the bones are not there, but they are. It's possible the animations you're talking about have a different skeleton, maybe. Like this one's got a bone for the shield. I don't know. They could be incompatible for some reason. I'll have to take a look at your. I'll have to take a look at your code. Okay, so what we want to do is figure out the angle that we're moving relative to the direction we're looking. Okay. So the direction we're moving can be computed using the calculate direction node here. And this is gonna, yeah, okay, so the direction we're looking is just our rotation here. So this is the direction we're looking, this is the direction we're moving, and then there's already a node that computes that angle for you. So that's it. Set direction. Math is about to get scary, but as it turns out, there's already a node that does it. So given a vector in the direction you're looking and the direction you're running, it'll be like you're running at 90 degrees or 180 degrees to the direction you're looking. So that's it. Now that everything's hooked up, it should work. Yep, there we go. Strafe left, strafe right. You see that? And the shield always stays forward. That's cool. Running, strafing. Something just flew over there. Feet don't look quite right. I think we're moving too fast for this. Okay, that's it. That's it. So, any questions about it? I'll put this back up again. So the blend space, I might. Let me try one more thing here. I'm gonna make it sprint. Use the running one when we're walking. So let's see if that does anything. So yeah, see how the feet still don't match up exactly. The other way, I guess, look better. Okay. So these white dots are kind of like keyframes or something. Like basically when you're moving in this direction at this speed, I should try pulling it in. Try this actually. Just to humor me, see how this looks. Yeah, looks a little better. The feet still aren't fast enough. And then as I move around, yeah, that's good enough, I guess. Yeah, looks pretty good. It's a little bit weird because he's always keeping his shield towards the enemy, so it's a little bit different from what I'm used to, but yeah, I'll do it. Okay, so that's animation. Any questions? There's like 5 different steps we went over today. So to summarize, step 1, go out to Mixamo, download a character. Download some animations, go with the character. Step 2, import them into Unreal Engine. Step 3, set the mesh of your goblin or whatever. So right here we have a skeletal mesh. You set it to the skeletal mesh you imported. And then just to try it out, just right here, you can just set an animation asset on it, and then it'll just hard code that animation asset over and over again. And you could stop there if you wanted, if you don't really care if it looks good or not, you can just end it there. But if you want to go beyond that and have it react and have different animations play when it's stationary, when it's walking, when it's running, then you can use a 1D blend space or 2D blend space like we did, where we only used one of the axes. And then the blend space, we started by putting 3 animations out: idle, walk, and run. And the vertical axis is speed. It goes from 0 to 1200 because I have a sprinting system built in. If you don't have a sprinting system, have it go from 0 to 600. So it'll just smoothly transition from stationary to running as it goes faster. And then you need to set up a that's the old one, huh? The new one. Sorry, I already had one already on my character. In fact, I think I could probably get rid of the old one, honestly, because it looked weird because I was using the scary clown walk instead of the sword and shield walk, so he was kind of walking like this. I don't know if you noticed that before, but the walking animation was this one. So that's why it had kind of this strange gait to him. Yeah. And then it would interpolate between that and sword and shield run. And so he was kind of walking with his knees up a little bit, just because it amused me. I need help when you have time. Yeah, I'm wrapping up here. I'll help you for the last 25 minutes of class. Okay, so then what you do after you've made your blend space, you make an animation blueprint. The animation blueprint has 2 halves to it. It's got an anim graph and an event graph. The event graph is the code. The anim graph is the high-level view of how the animation system gets its poses. And you drag out your blend space onto here and connect it up. And then the blend space's axes will be inputs. You turn them into variables. You click into the event graph here, and then you set these variables. So every time animation updates, it gets the velocity of the player it's on, and it gets the angle the player's moving at. It sets those 2 variables. These feed into the blend space. The blend space uses those variables to determine what type of animation it should be doing. And then that feeds a pose into the output pose. And that's what causes the player to actually get a frame of animation. That's it, top to bottom. And we're done for today. So your goal for Tuesday is to, you don't use sword and shield, use a different one. The one with the gun is pretty, there's a lot of animations for like having a gun in your hand. There's like hip, aim, strafe, like there's a pretty good set of animations there, so I'd probably use one of those. And especially if you have a confetti rocket launcher. Yeah. So get that going. So put a simple animation in for your monsters, and put a good 2D blend space in for your character. Screenshot, video capture probably is going to make a little more sense. Upload. You guys got till Tuesday to do it. Okay. Any questions? You got so lost you have to rewatch? Yeah, that's fine. That's it, top to bottom. There's like a bunch of steps. Hazelton, how you doing? You got here late, you'll watch the video. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of steps to it. And if you guys get lost, ask on Discord. I'm going to be camping from Friday through Sunday, so don't expect any help then from me, but you guys can help each other out too. Okay, so I'm going to sign off now. And then, Spraggins, if you want to start streaming, if you guys want to watch that too, we can do that too. Might be educational. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording now though. See ya.